As the rain hammered against the windows of the operations room as Major Elena Vasquez stared at the blurred satellite image on her screen. For 6 months, an unknown sniper had been dismantling enemy operations across the war-torn valley with impossible precision. No one had ever seen them. No one knew their name. The soldiers in the field had started calling them the Ghost. Lena rubbed her tired eyes and glanced at the clock. 3:22 a.m., another sleepless night trying to solve a mystery that shouldn't exist. The Ghost had saved countless lives, taking out enemy commanders and weapon caches from distances that seemed superhuman. But headquarters was getting nervous. An asset this valuable, this skilled, and this anonymous was a liability they couldn't afford. Before we begin, tell us in the comments where in the world you're watching from. Still chasing shadows, Major? Captain David Torres entered with 2 cups of coffee, his boots squeaking on the polished floor. He handed her one and leaned against the desk, his expression a mix of concern and curiosity. You've been at this for weeks. Maybe the Ghost wants to stay hidden. Lena took a sip and shook her head. Every sniper leaves a signature, David, a pattern. The Ghost is too clean, too perfect. It's like they know our operations before we do. She pulled up another file, showing a grainy photo of an abandoned building where the Ghost had operated 3 days earlier. They're always one step ahead. That's what worries me. David studied the image carefully. What if they're one of ours? Someone who went off the grid? The thought had crossed Alina's mind more than once, but she had checked every military record, every special forces operator, every sharpshooter in their database. Nothing matched. The Ghost's tactics were familiar yet distinctly different, like someone trained by their military but operating under completely different rules. The next morning, Alina joined a convoy heading into the valley. If she couldn't find the Ghost through intelligence, maybe she could find them in the field. The landscape was brutal and beautiful, with jagged mountains casting long shadows over villages caught between 2 armies. Her team set up in a fortified position overlooking a key supply route that enemy forces had been using. "Contact 2 o'clock, whispered Sergeant Mills, pointing toward a distant ridge. Through her binoculars, Alina spotted enemy soldiers moving into position with heavy weapons. They were preparing to ambush a humanitarian convoy scheduled to pass through in less than an hour. Her heart raced. They were too far away for her team to engage effectively, and calling in air support would take too long. And she heard it, a single crack echoing across the valley. One of the enemy soldiers dropped. Then another, and another. 3 shots, 3 targets, all from an impossible distance. Alina's breath caught in her throat as she scanned the opposite mountainside with her scope. There, barely visible in the morning light, was a figure repositioning on a rocky outcrop nearly a mile away. "That's the Ghost," David breathed beside her. They watched as the remaining enemy forces scattered in confusion, abandoning their ambush. The mysterious sniper had done it again, appearing exactly when needed and vanishing like smoke. But this time, Alina had seen their position. She made a decision that would change everything. "We're going up there," she announced, already moving toward the vehicles. Her team exchanged worried glances but followed without question. The mountain road was treacherous, winding through areas that could hide a dozen ambushes. By the time they reached the rocky outcrop, it was 11:15 a.m., and Alina expected to find nothing but spent shell casings. Instead, they found a small camp tucked into a cave. Neat, organized, minimal, a sleeping bag, a portable stove, and a rifle case, but no sniper. Alina's instinct screamed that something was wrong. This was too easy, too obvious. Then she noticed the photographs pinned to the cave wall. Pictures of enemy targets all marked with red X's, pictures of successful operations, and one photo that made her blood run cold. It was a picture of her, young in her academy uniform, standing next to another cadet, a woman with striking green eyes and a confident smile. Alina's hands trembled as she pulled the photo down, memories flooding back. Her best friend from training, Sergeant Rachel Kim, the most talented sniper their academy had ever produced. "Major, you need to see this." David held up a military ID that had been carefully hidden under a rock. Rachel Kim's face stared back at them, but the ID had been reported destroyed 3 years ago when Rachel's convoy was hit by an enemy attack. Everyone aboard had been declared killed in action. Alina had attended the memorial service. She had grieved. "She's alive," Alina whispered, her voice breaking. "Rachel's alive." But why had Rachel stayed hidden? Why hadn't she come home? The questions spiraled through Alina's mind as her team secured the area. Then her radio crackled to life. "Major Vasquez, this is Ghost. Please stand down and listen." Rachel's voice, unmistakable even after 3 years, filled Alina's ear. Her heart hammered as she pressed the transmit button with shaking fingers. "Rachel, where are you? What happened?" Alina's voice was thick with emotion. Around her, her team stood frozen, weapons lowered but ready, unsure whether this was a reunion or a confrontation. There was a long pause before Rachel responded, and Alina could hear the pain in every word. "That convoy attack wasn't random, Alina. Someone on our side set us up. I survived barely, and when I tried to report back, I intercepted communications. Someone with high clearance had sold us out. I couldn't trust anyone, couldn't come home until I figured out who." Alina's mind reeled. A traitor in their ranks. So you stayed out here, alone? The pieces were falling into place now. Rachel had been protecting them all this time, eliminating threats while hunting for the person who had betrayed her unit. The ghost had never been missing. She had been on the most important mission of her life. I'm close, Alina. I know who it is, but I needed proof and I needed to make sure no one else got hurt while I worked. Rachel's voice grew stronger, more determined. Check your secure files. I'm sending you everything. 3 years of evidence, but Alina, you need to move fast. The traitor knows someone's been interfering with their deals. They're getting desperate. Lena pulled out her tablet with trembling hands, and David crowded close to look over her shoulder. File after file downloaded, showing communications, money transfers, and operation details that had been leaked to the enemy. Her stomach turned as she recognized the encryption codes. Only a handful of people had access to these channels. The final file opened, and Alina's world tilted. Video footage showed a senior intelligence officer, Colonel Marcus Webb, meeting with enemy contacts, selling information, trading lives for money. Webb had been her mentor once, had recommended her for promotion. The betrayal cut deeper than any bullet could. I have eyes on Webb right now, Rachel's voice came through. He's at Forward Base Charlie preparing to evacuate with one last payment. If he gets on that helicopter in 30 minutes, we'll never catch him. Alina made a decision that ended her hesitation. Send us your coordinates. You're not doing this alone anymore. 28 minutes later, Alina and her team burst into the operations center at Forward Base Charlie. Colonel Webb looked up from his desk, surprise flickering across his face before he masked it with a smile. Major Vasquez, what brings you here? His hand drifted casually toward the drawer where Alina knew he kept a pistol. It's over, Marcus. Alina's voice was steady as stone. We know everything. The convoy attack, the leaked operations, the blood money. Webb's smile vanished, replaced by cold calculation. He lunged for the drawer, but a shot rang out, splintering the wood inches from his hand. Everyone froze. Standing in the doorway was Rachel Kim, rifle lowered but ready, her green eyes blazing with 3 years of fury and justice. She looked older, weathered by the mountains and the burden she had carried, but she was unmistakably alive. Don't move, Colonel. I've waited a long time for this. Webb's shoulders sagged as military police rushed in to restrain him. Alina crossed the room and stood face to face with her friend, her sister in arms, the ghost who had haunted the valley. Tears streamed down both their faces as they embraced, 3 years of grief and loss dissolving in that single moment. Welcome home, Ghost, Alina whispered. Rachel pulled back, a tired smile breaking across her face. It's good to be seen again. The photograph that eventually leaked online wasn't tactical or classified. It was simple and human, 2 soldiers embracing in a dusty operations room, both crying, both finally free. The image spread across social media within hours, and the world learned that the ghost had never been a mystery to solve. She had been a hero waiting for the right moment to come home. And when that moment came, she had made sure justice came with her.